Okay, I started reading the Eminence and Shadow manga because I got bored waiting for the fucking movie. 3 fucking years. I own all the light novels on Bookwalker. I've read through them. I'm reading through the manga because I need an Eminence and Shadow again.
There we go. We're live. Hello, everybody. Hello. Hi. Welcome to Anime Church, the church where you can cosplay and we won't judge you for it. That's right. We judge you for more important things, like, are you an asshole? Or how much of an asshole you are. Because, are you an asshole? The answer is yes. What kind are you? Now, that's the interesting question. I am Richie Roberts, your Minister of Science and Technology.
I'm Fender Sutter, your patron saint to snackers and alcohol.
We got a decent amount of stuff to talk about. Not nearly as much as normal. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 topics, which is actually pretty short for us. But some of it is watch along and chat about it kind of stuff. So, yeah. The Subnautica stuff is more kind of watch and comment. That's how I feel about it. But yeah, that's where we're at. I don't have anything more to really talk about at the moment other than to just get into it. So yeah, Super Mario Brothers Galaxy dropped their final trailer. It's weird to think that this is like less than a month away. Like it's just like a couple of weeks out. We're like 2 weeks and 2 days away from it because it comes out on a Wednesday. So like as of this Wednesday, it will be 2 weeks. So we're like 2 weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks and 3 days around that time because it's coming out on April 1st. Or at least that's what Nintendo's telling us. That doesn't. I'm wondering if this is all an April Fool's prank and it's really coming out on the 2nd. Who knows? Who knows? By the way, did everybody have a good Friday the 13th? It's kind of nice that we got 2 back-to-back because we had one last month and then we got one this month. Yeah.
I fell asleep at work.
On Friday the 13th? That's the way to do it. That's how you celebrate. It's a lucky day. You get a nap. See? Look at that.
Luckiest day of the year.
It is. All right, so let's go ahead and watch this trailer, and we'll comment about it. Yeah.
There's a huge universe out there.
Oh, they did announce that Donald Glover is doing the voice of Yoshi. I thought that was pretty neat. I know nothing about Super Mario Galaxy. I stopped playing Mario around the N64 era, so I do not know anything about this. So, yeah. Do you have any knowledge of Mario Galaxy, Fenris?
Absolutely none.
Okay, cool. We're in the same place.
With a lot of galaxies.
We gotta get everyone out of here. Go, go, go! Mamma mia.
Oh, that's great. I love the little clown cart that he has from Super Mario World. I played the crap out of that one, so I remember that for the Super Nintendo. Yeah.
I demand that you release my father.
Over my dead body.
Fine with me.
My Koopas! Your king has returned!
Long live the king!
The Bowser name shall be feared once more.
Oh no! Everyone calm.
I have never related to a toad so quickly in my life. the breathing into the bag, the smacking them around. That's great. I need to see that again. That's funny.
Your name shall be feared once more.
Oh no! Everyone calm down.
That's fantastic.
Toad, pack our things.
Let's go.
Let's go!
Oh, princess, you're going to regret that.
Ninja stars. Wow, we're getting Mario 2 stuff. That's cool.
Did a much better welcome at that time.
Yeah, I agree. Sounded very Charles Martinet.
Hello, maggots.
Oh, yes! The best character from the first movie is back. Fucking love that star. Oh, that's so good. All right, yeah, I'm here for it. That's really silly. I was already planning to see this, so this doesn't change anything. It just made me laugh more and like made me kind of a little bit more excited. I guess that's where I'm at. What are your thoughts? Yeah.
I'm really hoping my mom and pop movie theater has it because I'm not spending $25 on a ticket.
I don't blame you, but yeah, like I totally understand. I do want to see it in theaters. This looks like a lot of fun. Thankfully, because it comes out like around the beginning of the month, I get paid around there. So yeah, $5 Tuesdays. Hell yeah, dude. Man, I need to get those Tuesday discounts through Regal. That would help a lot. All right, well there's the first one. Just let us know what you think of this trailer in the comments or in the chat, please. Yeah. Go on a Tuesday. Yeah, exactly. All right, so this was a thing that was happening a lot on the day that One Piece Season 2 came out. By the way, One Piece Season 2 live action is now out, if you didn't know. Whenever someone hugs me, you have to hyperventilate and slap them. Oh, man. But yeah, so yeah, the live action One Piece came out and there were problems with multiple reaction channels. And it's not like they were uploading the full episode, but I'll let Aaron from Blind Wave explain.
You're probably thinking, where are your One Piece live-action Netflix show? All I can find is almost 90 episodes of the anime. I need Season 2 of One Piece, Blind Wave. Season 2 of the Netflix show. Where is it? Well, they've been taken down. We're not really sure exactly what's going on, but Netflix seemingly does not want us to cover in this first week the Netflix One Piece show, which is a shame because I've enjoyed it so much. Episode 3 is like my favorite thing I've watched in years in terms of sword fighting. It's that good. I want you guys to see my reaction. Usually
that's the Whiskey Peak episode. So yeah,
Okay.
there's a lot of praise for Zoro taking on the 100 people at Whiskey Peak. Yeah.
when we have YouTube problems like this, we kind of suffer in silence and don't talk to you about how difficult it is to be doing what we've done here collectively for the last decade. But it's really difficult, and days like this make it extremely difficult. So we're sorry that we can't get our Netflix One Piece reactions to you like we normally would. But we have also invested a lot of time and energy and love over at blindwave.com, where you can go over and we're just going to go ahead and put a mirror up of those videos. So if you want to watch them right now, you can at blindwave.com. We're going to continue doing this with the normal schedule that we were going to be posting on YouTube. And for YouTube's sake, we're going to be making revisions and try to get those videos up eventually in a way where Netflix agrees that they meet fair use standards that we have been practicing for nearly a decade. But luckily, we have the good people that support us over at blindwave.com.
Okay, so this is them plugging their website and sort of Patreon kind of deal. So yeah, this was a thing that was happening with multiple channels all over the place on the day that everything came out, like literally the first day. And then I don't know what happened, but everybody else started being able to get their stuff up in time. So they've got the first 3 up. I don't know if they're adding more, but yeah, the first 3 are up on their channel. If you're like, where are these reactions from these people? Well, don't know why, but Netflix was like taking them down en masse. And it's just like, guys, you do realize that they're promoting your stuff, right? But
part of me wants to believe, and this is just me trying to be, optimistic for like once in my fucking life,
okay,
that they had it taken down to prevent spoilers.
For the first episode?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe, but like there were other channels that were able to keep them up. It's just there were a lot of channels that were getting theirs taken down, and these are people that usually are really good at being able to work, do reactions within like copyright guidelines. It's just it felt really weird, and they do Netflix shows too, so this wasn't anything new. It was just like kind of like, okay, wow, what? Well, it was new for this, but not new for Netflix. Netflix doesn't usually crack down that hard, so yeah, it's just kind of weird. But yeah, that's all I wanted to cover with that. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about One Piece. Speaking of, and this is legit, as of this moment, Season 2 of One Piece has a 100% from critics and a 95% from audience ratings. So out of 26 reviews from critics, 100%, and over 1,000 reviews from the audience gives it a 95%. So the overall thing is that everybody is saying is that they did not think that it could be better than Season 1, and somehow it was. And I'm like, yeah, it would be. That being said, I also really love the naming sense of the episodes. You could definitely tell there's film fans in here. So we get, so the beginning and the end is really easy because and simple because it's all about Gold Roger. But then the next episode is about Laboon. We get good whale hunting. Then we get to episode 3, which is Whiskey Peak, and we get Whiskey Business. After that, we get Big Trouble in Little Garden. And because we're dealing with Mr. 3, who has his wax powers, wax on, wax off. Then we have Nami Dearest, Reindeer Shames, and Deer and Loathing and Drum Kingdom. I really like the naming sense for these episodes. As a movie fan, I really like those. We'll do the quick and short version. I have watched the entirety of season 2 of the live action. Fenris has not yet. I'm not trying to go and spoil much for him for the live action, so I'll just quickly go through. Yes, there were some big changes to Logtown, and a lot of stuff got cut out because you're taking essentially like 4 to 5 episodes and cramming it into one episode. I will say, though, I am very happy that each episode is about an hour long. So it is given up plenty of time. So essentially you're getting what would essentially be like 16 episodes worth of content if you were just doing like the 30-minute block. But it's about 58 minutes per episode, roughly around that. So I will say that my favorite out of all of them probably right now is episode 1 because of how well they handled Logtown. And I thought it was not only did I like the additions that they added to it, and I do understand that they are kind of messing with some of the people that don't know anything about the anime, and that's fine. So there's going to be a lot of people who are going to have questions like, who is that? Who is that? Who is that? And guys, if you know, just keep your mouth shut. That's all I'll say. But yeah, a lot of us anime fans, we were very excited, and a lot of people who are just watching the live action were very entertained, and they definitely stayed with the key moments, and I appreciated that. So yeah, my favorite is the first episode, but like there's a lot of really good ones. Good whale hunting, the whole Laboon thing. They changed a little bit of the Laboon stuff, so just because they couldn't do certain things. So the doctor, the flower old man, as Luffy calls him, is not living in the whale's stomach. That's he lives by the lighthouse. So they did that, but they did have a nod to that.
He lives in a van down by the river.
he lives in a van down by the reverse mountain. But and also because there are some things that they can do with the live action because they know more now about story stuff in One Piece. So the Lombard pirates do make an appearance in a flashback, and yes, an important character will be seen, and he did a really good job of, the person that was cast did a really good job of portraying that character at that point in time. I don't want to go into any more detail on that other than to say that once again, the casting for One Piece has been amazing. Like they are casting the right people for those. Then we get to Whiskey Peak. Really, really good. There are some cringe moments in there, but overall, really, really good. And there's cringe sprinkled throughout the entire season. But One Piece itself is kind of cringy at moments. But yeah, Whiskey Peak. Oh my God, you can feel in this episode how much they stepped up a lot of the fight choreography in this. McKenyu did an amazing job. I found out recently that he is a father. And I was like, oh my God, he has a little kid. That's crazy. Like, I don't think of him as being old enough to have been married and have a kid, but yeah, he does. But yeah, he was phenomenal in this. It was shot over 6 days, 8-hour days, and he did it with a broken finger. So the dedication is still there. The one thing that the fandom is divided over right now with the live action One Piece is with Taz, who plays Sanji. They had a shirtless scene for Sanji, and to prep for it, he didn't eat for several days, he didn't drink for 2 days, and he was on an oxygen mask while pumping iron between shots. And everybody was like so the community was split. Half of them were like, oh my God, we totally appreciate your dedication. We love you for it. And the other half are like, dude, you don't have to go to that extreme just for our silly little anime show. We appreciate you, but do not hurt yourself. So either way, it was all kind of like love and positivity toward Taz, but it was divided along those lines because he
Don't kill yourself for our
yeah, please don't kill
for
yourself for our
fascination.
fandom. Yeah. Then we get to the two-parter for Little Garden. Little Garden is a two-parter, so 4 and 5 are Little Garden. Again, there are some things that are cut out. It more or less flows kind of the same. I will say that I loved seeing certain things work out. I don't want to say too much. But yeah, there's also like little hints to things in the future. It's not like shoved in your face or anything. It's kind of in the background, and if you notice kind of stuff. Laboon made you cry again. Oh yeah, Laboon will like. Season 2 is gonna hit you in the feels, and if you think like the Laboon stuff makes you cry, boy, wait till we get to Chopper. But there's no such thing as a Straw Hat who has a backstory that isn't going to make you cry at some point. Like, no one on the Straw Hat crew has a happy backstory. There's just no one with a happy backstory. It just is what it is. All right, and then we get Nami Dearest, Reindeer Shames, and Deer and Loathing in Drum Island. All of this is the Drum Island arc. So we get 3 hours of Drum Island, and the Chopper stuff is really good. I do want to go ahead and shout out like a lot of people in the cast. So I want to shout out the person that played Igaram, or Mr. 8 right here. Katie Segal, who plays Dr. Koreha, she was phenomenal. The guy that plays Hiruluk, and the guy that plays the old flower man at at the bottom of Reverse Mountain with Laboon, phenomenal acting. Like it's so cool how they take it so seriously, and they seriously ingrain themselves into the characters, and like the more they learn about the character, the more they kind of fall in love with the story around their characters and stuff. And it was just so good. They did a phenomenal job. Hats off to them. I would give this probably, if I were to give it like the Rotten Tomatoes percentage or the Rotten Tomatoes percentage, I would say I give this somewhere around a 92. Like, it's really, really good, but there are places where I think it kind of drops, and so it's a little back and forth. There are definitely a lot of moments that outshine the original anime, but there are also moments where I think the anime did things better in terms of emotional impact, or the fights in certain times. There are certain fights in here where I think the anime was much better, especially with how it was handled and the emotional weight around said fight. But yeah, I also understand, and guys, I treat this like an alternate universe. The live action is an alternate universe as far as I'm concerned, right? And if I think about it that way, I don't tend to do a lot of comparison between the anime and the live action when I'm watching it for the first time. I just let myself get swept in there. But there are plenty of times where I, as a One Piece fan, was watching this and I had to pause it and stand up and feel and try and suddenly remember not to get too loud, because I have a neighbor and I don't want to bother them at 5 a.m. when I'm watching this. But I got super excited because this character, that character, this reference or that reference showed up, and I'm like, I can't believe they did this. This is so crazy. I love it. But they're not showing certain characters just to be like, hey, this character who shows up way later is here now. Isn't that crazy? No, there's always narrative stuff for any of the stuff that they reference or any of the characters that show up. There is a narrative reason why they would be there. And if you have a question about that, you can bring it up to me and I'll explain the narrative to you. I just don't want to do it here because I don't want to spoil other people. But yeah, if I go to like our regular reviews, which is like 5 stars or out of 10 or whatever you want to call it, I'd give it a solid 9. You know, maybe a solid 9.2 out of 10. Keep the 92, or like a 4.5 out of 5. It was really good, but there are points where I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. I feel like this wasn't as impactful as it was in the anime. You think Smoker looks great in the live action? I agree. And funny enough, found out recently he lives relatively near me. Not exact, but like within a certain geographical area. He lives kind of near me, and that was cool. And also managed to get contact information for his agent. So maybe we might do an interview with him for either Anime Church or Technical Difficulties. So that'd be really cool. I'd love to sit down and talk with him about, you know, season 2 of One Piece. Obviously, he's going to be in season 3 for the Alabasta arc as well, but we're not going to talk about that. We're not going to ask for any details about upcoming stuff. But yeah, it would be really cool if we could sit down and get an interview with him. If we do that, it'll probably be like pre-recorded stuff. We won't go live, but we will put it up. And guys, wholly encourage you to come watch that and send other people to come watch it and stuff like that, because it's awesome. And he did a really good job. I agree. I loved him as Smoker. Also, last but not least, and this is a big reason why this show gets the high rating it gets. Oh my God. Okay, so Fenris, when you watch season 1, one of the things that we talked about was the set designs and how cool the set designs worked, even in like a live action setting, from taking something so zany like One Piece and how kind of crazy it is. Somehow the set design is even crazier. Like they took it up to another level this time around. Just Reverse Mountain alone is fucking amazing.
I'm gonna ask again. How?
I don't know. Whiskey Peak is okay. Another reason why the Zoro fight in Whiskey Peak works so well is because of how they designed the set for like the main area where he fights, and it's so interesting how they do that, because he, you know, throughout the fight, it's kind of like he's ascending levels to take on like more challenging enemies or opponents. And like, yeah. And the design for Little Garden was amazing, because it's actually kind of like a giant prehistoric island. It's called Little Garden because if you're a giant, it would look like a little garden. But if you're just like us sized, it's like a huge prehistoric jungle kind of thing. But like the set design has been amazing, and we get to see so much more of the Mary, which is great. Drum Island was done really well. It's a short thing, but they also cover like how quickly the weather can change in the Grand Line. So we get hey, it was sunny just a second ago, now it's raining, now it's snowing, now it's back to spring, and it's like, yep, welcome to the Grand Line. So they kind of covered a little bit of that, and I think they actually made some of the stuff about the Grand Line and how to navigate through the Grand Line. I think they made it much more easily digestible in the live action than in the anime. It's much quicker. They don't give us like a big thing of visual aids like they do in the anime, and I think the not using the visual aids actually helped with condensing it into a much more understandable format as well. So yeah. But yeah, the set design and oh my God, the costuming and the visual effects. Just know that when we get to any point where Smoker fights, the smoke effects on him, because you've seen like people try and punch Smoker and it go through them because he turns to smoke. How they interpret that in live action works so well. The visual effects and like the costuming was so on point. They deserve a fucking Emmy for this. It was so well done. That's it. That's all I really got to say about it, other than, yeah, I wanted to shout out like those teams because I know there's a lot in set design and visual effects and like costuming that was just amazingly done, and it was so immaculately detailed. I have to shout them out for how well they did. Yeah, if you get a chance, just the beginning of, I think it's the beginning of episode 2 is literally the Whiskey Peak stuff. I hope you get to see it soon. Or not Whiskey Peak, but Reverse Mountain. Just seeing them go up Reverse Mountain. And honestly, the Reverse Mountain stuff, way more tension than it was in the anime. The anime, it just seemed kind of fun and silly. There's definitely a prevailing tension, and you're like, oh my god. Like, even if you know they're gonna be safe, it's like, dude, this is perilous. This is dangerous as hell. And it's like, yeah, exactly. And it managed to, like, the live action managed to convey that tension so much more than the anime, and I really appreciated that. Yeah, there we go. I think I've yacked everybody's heads off about the live action One Piece at this point in time. If you haven't seen it and you have Netflix, please go watch it. If you want to go see it and you don't have Netflix, I don't know what to say because we don't encourage piracy.
Just ask yourself this. What would Luffy do?
Exactly. There you go. You think CGI in season 2 is a lot better than season 1? No, Jared, I can agree with that. All right. But yeah, there we are. Those are my thoughts, and we'll move on to the next thing. So yeah, guys, K-pop Demon Hunters, the directors have been confirmed to return for the sequel. That's basically it. They have confirmed that the same directors will be coming back for the sequel to K-pop Demon Hunters. I'm happy for that. I think that, especially because for the directors, it was a passion project for them, and it was their baby anyway. So yeah, I feel like this is in very good hands. Fenris, what are your thoughts on this?
I'd be more skeptical if they did change directors.
Right. I was gonna be like, dude, was this not already like a thing? Like, what do you mean? What do you mean you didn't already have this figured out? Like, come on. Like, we already assumed. But yeah, it gives me a little bit of a sigh of relief to know that they're not like trying to just, that they're like, hey, yeah, we're gonna trust the people who made this to make the second one. I'm like, yeah. Don't just look at the dollar signs. You have to make something that like works, and from the people that know what the heck they're doing. All right, there we go. All right.
And don't worry, everybody will be sadly singing Golden when you fuck it up.
All right. More bad news. Amazon Prime Video raises price of ad-free tier in the US. That's right. Amazon announced on Friday it is raising the price of its ad-free subscription tier in the US on April 10th from $2.99 to $4.99 per month, and rebranding it as Prime Video Ultra. Okay, you know what? That's fair. It's $2.99 to $4.99. That's not bad. I'm so used to them going from like 16 to 20 and 20 to 30 that I'm just like, oh.
It's still sub $10. Like, it's a fantastic deal.
Yeah, it's a fantastic deal. So, you know what? I was going to harp on Amazon for this, but knowing that the price change is not that drastic, I'm okay with this.
I mean, it's still kind of drastic because it's like almost 100% increase,
yes,
but it's only a couple bucks.
Yeah, this is also in addition to having Prime, correct? You have to pay for this on top of your Prime subscription. I don't know, dude. Like, somebody out there, I'm guessing if we read further, we may know. The subscription tier will now include 5 concurrent streams, previously 3, 100 downloads, previously 25, and exclusive access to 4K UHD streaming. Okay, well, you're definitely getting more for your money then. So it's not just we're going up because, you know, the economy sucks or we want to be greedy. They're upping certain things. So that's cool. The features for the default Prime Video services included with Amazon Prime subscriptions will also change. Users can now view 4 concurrent streams, previously 3. So you can watch 4 at the same. Wow, that's crazy. And use 50 downloads for offline viewing, previously 25. Dolby Vision is also now available. The Prime Video Ultra tier is available for customers in the US only. And then its background on there, Amazon reigns for its Amazon Prime service from $119 to $139 a month, or basically $12 a month to $14 a month in February 2022. Which, to be fair, considering that I do use Amazon and Amazon Prime for getting my free shipping and everything, I kind of count it as a win, especially with there's a lot of stuff on Amazon Prime Video that I can watch because I have Prime. So the only thing I was curious about was how much this affected Prime, and it doesn't look like it's necessarily going to affect Prime. So, yeah. Alrighty.
Last year,
Now we'll move on to gaming stuff. I got a bit more information about what's going on with Unknown Worlds and Crafton, and I kind of wanted to share it with everybody. So, guys, feel free to chat about this or to type out in the chat your thoughts on this as we're going through it. And Fenris, I think you and I will pause and talk about this as we go through it if we want to. So if you want me to stop at a place, just tell me to hit pause. I'll hit pause and we'll talk about whatever we just heard.
Okay.
All right. Let's get started, gang.
Subnautica 2 blew up, and not because of gameplay. It blew up because of behind-the-scenes drama that completely derailed the hype behind this game. The original founders of Subnautica 2 were fired, a $250 million bonus was reportedly on the line, and Crafton, the publisher, claimed the game simply wasn't ready. But now that some time has passed and leaked internal documents have surfaced, the question becomes, who was actually telling the truth? And before we go any further, I want to make it very clear that I love Subnautica. I liked Below Zero. I've platinumed both of these games. I've explored pretty much every inch of those worlds. So when Subnautica 2 was announced, I was genuinely excited. I wasn't cautiously optimistic or skeptical. No, I was excited. But to really understand what's going on with Subnautica 2's development, we need to rewind and talk about Subnautica 1. Believe it or not, Subnautica first entered early access on Steam on December 16th, 2014, which is kind of wild to think about. Subnautica has technically been around for over a decade, and during that early access period, the developers at Unknown Worlds didn't just release a game and disappear. They actively solicited player feedback from the very earliest builds, adjusting mechanics, survival balance, creature behavior, base building, and everything else. Subnautica 1 is honestly a textbook example of how early access should work. Release a rough version, listen to players, and iterate constantly. Many people genuinely believe that the game wouldn't be what it is today without that early community involvement. And to put that into perspective, when Subnautica first launched in early access in 2014, it didn't even have basic survival systems. There was no hunger, no thirst, and base building wasn't even in the game yet. And some experimental features like terraforming were tested and then later removed entirely. The game we know today was built over years of testing. But the most important thing to understand about Subnautica's early access is this: it was the financial lifeline for the studio. Unknown Worlds was a relatively small team when they started this project, and early access allowed them to fund development while continuing to build the game. They fully embraced the model, rolling out updates weekly, sometimes even daily, and keeping an open feedback loop with the community. That transparency and iteration became a part of their identity, which makes what we know about Subnautica 2 a lot more interesting. Now let's fast forward to 2018. The full version of Subnautica finally releases, and it's a massive hit. It sells millions of copies, grows a devoted fan base, and firmly establishes itself as one of the best survival games ever made. Things were looking really good. The game eventually launches on Xbox and PlayStation. The story is fully finished, and Subnautica goes from an early access experiment to a complete polished experience. Then we fast forward again, this time to 2021. That's when Crafton, best known for games like PUBG, acquires Subnautica developers Unknown Worlds Entertainment. The deal is reportedly worth around $500 million, and it includes an earnout bonus structure that could pay developers up to another $250 million if certain performance targets were met. And yeah, we know how this part of the story plays out. Between 2021 and 2024, development on Subnautica 2 officially begins. The sequel is announced as a next generation follow-up built in Unreal Engine 5 and for the first time in the series featuring multiplayer, something fans had been asking for years. People completely lost their minds. The hype was unreal. Subnautica 2 quickly became one of the most wish-listed games on Steam, and at the time, we were told to expect early access to release in 2025. And that didn't happen. Not even close. Instead, what we got was something very different. In July, Krafton abruptly removed 3 key figures from Subnautica 2's development: Subnautica co-founders Charlie Cleveland and Max McGuire, along with CEO Ted Gill. And this came completely out of nowhere. One day, fans believed development was going smoothly and early access could drop at any time. And the next day, the studio's original leadership was gone. Shortly after that, Krafton appoints Steve Paputis, former studio head of Callisto Protocol, as the new CEO of Unknown Worlds. And almost immediately, he announces that Subnautica 2 will no longer launch in early access in 2025, instead targeting a 2026 release window. As for the official explanation, the delay would give the studio more time to add content, polish the game, and address feedback. And this is where the narrative really starts to split. A lot of people are being torn here because you're basically being asked to choose, who do you believe? Do you believe the 3 developers who built Subnautica from a small studio into a massive success? Or do you believe the large publisher with a financial stake in delaying the game? Because both sides tell very different stories. Krafton claims that the delay was due to content and quality concerns, and they accuse the former leadership team of not contributing effectively, even going as far as suggesting that they partially abandoned the project. The former leadership team, on the other hand, claims that the game was ready for early access and that the timing of the delay conveniently ensured the studio would miss the $250 million earnout bonus, turning what Krafton framed as a quality decision into what they argue was actually a financial one. And that's the core conflict at the heart of Subnautica 2. For a while, this whole situation was mostly just he said, she said. But that changed later in the year when an internal Subnautica 2 development document was leaked. This document was essentially a milestone review of the game's development. And importantly, Krafton later confirmed the document was real, stating that it came from one of their official internal project reviews. So take that however you want. I'm not going to go line by line through the entire document, but here's the core of what that internal assessment revealed. Multiple biomes were either cut entirely or left incomplete. One of the major Leviathan creatures had been removed. A key vehicle was missing from the build. Custom game modes and certain character features were removed or scaled back, and core systems like mining, farming, and automation were still unfinished. In other words, the game was not as full or fleshed out as the original roadmap had intended. The leak also claimed that the narrative had been significantly trimmed down. Early plans had reportedly expected multiple narrative chapters, but by this time of the review, only 1 chapter was actually completed, meaning far less story content than originally planned. Overall, if Subnautica 2 had actually released in 2025, it likely would have been shorter, lighter on content, and less ambitious than what fans were expecting. So from Krafton's perspective, these leaks basically suggest the game was lacking content and depth, and that for a strong early access launch, it needed more time. Unknown Worlds wasn't a small startup anymore. They were working on a sequel to one of the most beloved survival games ever made. Krafton's claim is that they simply weren't hitting the milestones they should have been. That said, this didn't stop the 3 former leadership members from filing a lawsuit against Krafton. They allege that Krafton intentionally tried to delay Subnautica 2's launch in order to avoid paying the additional $250 million earnout bonus, which would have been triggered if the game launched in late 2025. According to a lawsuit, Krafton leadership allegedly shifted focus towards delaying the game rather than supporting a successful launch, pull-keyed marketing support, canceled partnerships and media plans, and reduced resources provided to the studio, slowing development. So what are they asking for in this lawsuit? Primarily, they're seeking the full $250 million payout, but also potentially restoration of creative control or leadership roles, or reinstatement of contractual promises made when Unknown Worlds was acquired. In August of 2025, Krafton filed a comprehensive response. They denied all of these claims and, unsurprisingly, pointed back to the very same issues described in those leaks from the internal documents, essentially arguing that the founders were removed because the project was not where it needed to be. There's also at least one report claiming that on November 17th, 2025, a trial date was scheduled in Delaware, officially starting the legal process. And that's something we'll definitely be revisiting once we get some more concrete details, so subscribe for that. As of right now, there hasn't been much movement on the lawsuit itself, but there have been updates on the actual development of Subnautica 2. The early access release has now been pushed to 2026, and according to Unknown Worlds, this delay is being used to add more content and polish to the game before it launches. Behind the scenes, developers have also confirmed that private playtests with community members have been taking place, which is at least encouraging considering how important community feedback was for the first game. As it stands, here's what we can currently expect when the game releases in early access. Up to 4-player co-op, several new biomes and creatures, a narrative structure alongside crafting systems, and new tools and vehicles to use, all of which are expected to expand over time during early access. So while the game has been delayed, there is a roadmap. That said, I think we can all agree that more transparency is needed. I'm glad to hear that the game is still being actively developed and hopefully released in a better state. But the big question still remains: was Subnautica 2 really as far behind as Crafton claims, or was this ultimately about money? It's definitely hard to say right now, and maybe we'll know more once early access actually launches. It's also worth pointing out that Crafton doesn't exactly have the best reputation. They have been aggressively pushing towards an AI first approach, and there have been some rumors that their CEO relies heavily on tools like ChatGPT for decision making. So if it turns out that they weren't being completely honest, I wouldn't be shocked. Anyways, hit that like button, leave a comment, and let me know if you are so excited for some.
Okay. So we got a little bit more context as to the leaked information going on with the dev studio and how they were kind of behind on things, which is information that we didn't have before. The rest of it, I think we kind of knew, but I wanted to make sure that we had more context about this. It did change my thoughts on Subnautica 2. I don't know if it changed anybody else's, but I'm now back to a place where I'm like, when Subnautica 2 comes out for early access, I want to get it because I've really wanted to play it, and I want to support the studio Unknown Worlds. Even I want to support Unknown Worlds more than I don't want to support Crafton at the moment, if that makes any sense. You know? So that's kind of where I'm at. Fenris, where are you at on this?
Still lost interest in the game.
Still lost interest in the game? That's fine. That's fair.
Yeah.
I will say this. If you go to the Subnautica page, the dev team is still putting up stuff. And some of the stuff that they've put up actually explains what happens to your character in Subnautica 1 when they finally get home. And so that's really interesting. There's definitely some stuff where they're narratively tying some story stuff for episode from Subnautica 1 to Subnautica 2, but the short version is that when your character from Subnautica 1 gets home, they basically write a book about their whole experience on 4542B. I think that's what it's called. I may be getting it wrong, but on the planet, and it becomes like this big thing. They become like this big hero, and like it brings in all this money towards Altera because Altera is seen as kind of like these saviors, and so they just forgive all your debt and just let you get back, and yeah, and so it ushers in this wave of like new people wanting to go out and explore and stuff, and that's essentially what your team in Subnautica 2 is supposed to be. Is like you're this group of people that set out to another planet to explore and become like the hero who came back just recently. So that's kind of at least one of the narrative tie-ins that I know about for the two games in between here. And so that's kind of neat. But I did also want to go through this because while I'm not a fan of what Crafton is doing, I am very much a fan of what the dev team is doing, and they've been putting out some dev vlogs recently, and I kind of wanted to hear your thoughts on this, because you played Subnautica, correct?
I have not.
Oh, darn it. Oh, well, regardless, I'm curious to get your thoughts on this. So, and this is a much shorter one. Oh, and there's a lot more gameplay in this dev thing. So.
Seeing it come to fruition, been working on this from a crazy idea for years, and see it slowly evolve and turn into this system that players can really customize the output, and everybody's base looks wildly different.
What we're doing is kind of novel. We're using some techniques that haven't been used in games in this way before.
I think the system as a whole is pretty challenging.
I worked from day one on this system, so we've been working on it about 3 years. We have redesigned the system from the ground up.
Sometimes the constraints aren't known to the concept artist, and so therefore we have to adapt a lot of the shapes and visual language when we.
So that's an important thing I want to point out. They didn't use the same system they were using for Subnautica 1. They went back and just redid all of the base building stuff from scratch so that they could do things in a bit more detail. So as like where Subnautica 1 and Below Zero use kind of the same base building mechanics and the same system, like they completely redid the system for 2. And I thought that was kind of a key thing to point out.
We bring it over from concept to our entire base building system itself.
The most challenging thing that we worked on was actually the system itself. This is a brand new system. I don't think we've seen anything like this in any other survival game.
With bases, everything's broken up into unique tiles, and the way that we do that, has to have coordination with adjacent tiles.
Figuring out a good way to let designers and artists make the assets that will turn into this pretty rule-heavy, like logic-heavy system to make all of these different shapes.
We have a few core fundamentals that we're striving for. We want to maintain player expression and freedom in the base building system.
We love base building in Subnautica 1 and Below Zero. We kind of wanted to keep that spirit, but allow players to express themselves even more.
I think the main thing is our new procedural system where basically you don't have to be constrained to a specific shape.
We have moved away from fixed pieces for the most part, and we have a much more sculptural, expressive system.
I think one of the things that I'm most excited about is our windows. With the procedural system, basically, instead of having just like these big blocks that you can put the windows on, you can make windows in whatever shape you want.
I think by far my favorite base pieces to work on were probably the corridors. Something is very unique about the way that you model something on a constant radius, and it just made it such a challenge to get all the different pieces of glass that we wanted and all the customization that we wanted.
Okay, so right here, that's another thing that since they're building this all in Unreal, I wanted to quickly touch on the lighting, like because it's lighting through water. Look at the floor. You can kind of see like the little rainbow effects of from light through the water, and I'm like, oh my god, that looks so crisp. That looks so good. So yeah, just I know this is just me like kind of hyping on Unreal, but like credit where credit's due. The lighting is so fucking good, and I love the refraction through the water and the glass. I think that's so well done. But yeah, I'll keep going unless you had anything you wanted to add.
Other than Unreal is honestly more hated upon game engine than it should be. It is a wonderful engine.
Yeah. Yeah, the more I learn that dev teams can do with it, the more interested in it I become. Yeah,
I mean, hell, people are making literal animated videos and series in Unreal.
Holy shit! Okay.
I mean, Gundam Requiem for Vengeance on Netflix was made with Unreal Engine 5.
That's true. That's so true. Yeah.
Inside of like each piece of the corridor.
In the future, players will be able to paint their base, change different colors, different cosmetic options inside, change the color of lights, toggle lights on.
Could you imagine if you could build like your VTuber model in Unreal and just have it like being in Unreal the entire time? That'd be awesome.
Honestly, I think some people do.
Yeah, I think they do too. Yeah.
On and off.
Some of the base pieces that I am excited to work on in the future, the fully round rooms. I think that one's going to be great. I think it's going to be a nice hit back to Subnautica 1.
I'm really excited just to see what you guys can do. We've built something pretty flexible that will let players really run wild with their imagination. Even in the first 2 games, you already came up with such amazing ideas and concepts. And
Okay. I need to go back to this because that's something that I forgot. So safety first, reprinting is expensive. So apparently when you die in this game, you get reprinted in a 3D printer. Like, that's an interesting way of respawning, to do respawning. So that's how they do it canonically here. So you get reprinted in like a big person-sized 3D printer. Like, well, that's freaking crazy.
I think like the whole team is super excited to see what you guys can do. In our minds, this is a collaboration between us and the players.
What I'm most stoked for is the fact that you can join in the same environment with your friends and that you can create cool, cozy rooms for each other and really share that creativity between the different friends that you're going to have. Let's just hope no friend comes and steals all your resources. So,
all right, that's another thing that I like. Okay, so you can like put things in like individual places. So like how they place the lights on the ceiling in the curved corridor and had them in like specific locations. You couldn't do that before. And I'm just like, I'm looking at all these interesting things that you can do, and just, I love like base building stuff like that. So this is probably just a me thing, but yeah, it's great. Also, hi Amy. Like this feels like this feels like a designer's fun time, you know? Anybody that like likes to be a designer or just like has an artistic flair to them, I want to see what kind of crazy base building shenanigans you get up to, you know? This could become a thing where you put like, you have like a community of like, show us your base. What kind of base did you build? And everybody's kind of showing off their individual bases and learning from each other on like, oh, you see this cool thing somebody did and you want to use that. And like, yeah, I can definitely see something like this happening in the community. And I love that we get more creative freedom with our base building.
Good luck on that.
Welcome aboard.
I really want this game to come out soon. I want to play it. Yeah, and it's still set up for early access. So, okay. So, there we go. Got all the information there. Done and out of the way. Any other thoughts from you guys before we move on to the anime stuff? Because this was all the game stuff. Any thoughts in the chat? Anything you wanted to bring up or comment on that you saw, Fenris, that caught your eye?
Nothing I can really think of.
Okay. I mean, it looks good.
It does.
Yeah. And of course, they had to rebuild the system from scratch, I'm realizing, because different engine. So when they moved over to Unreal, they probably had to do the entire base building thing from scratch. But it also shows like how much more you can do in Unreal, because you can like manage things on a much smaller scale. So instead of just like your basic block windows, you can change them to like be circular or diamond or stuff like that. Yeah, you're looking forward to new Leviathan. So you're just looking for like big giant fish to eat your brother. That's what I'm hearing. Yeah. Alrighty. Well, that being said, we'll move on. We got a new trailer for season 4 of Iruma-kun. I figured we'd watch it together, right? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Let's do it.
2つ条件がある。アクドル界禁断のダンスヘルダンス
さっさと始めるぞ未熟者ども
レッツダンス僕たちのリリースカーペットを作ればいいんだこのラブレター受け取ってもらえますかイルマくんとプルソンくんの曲を聴いて胸が熱くなったの
かっこよかったぞ
ねえそれござる黄金の音まさしくピクシー
プルソンスイ職員室まで来い
電話だ落ち中
違うじゃんここまで来てそんな僕たちは練習するよ13人でステージに立つためにようこそ私のリリースカーペットへ
Oh, I bet she has a carpet.
審査員お三方ご到着です。欲しいものが手元にない。あんたたち万全
Which one? They made that too easy.
我々が必ず最高のもとであなたを貫いて差し上げます。
That's a big move.
俺はお前が来る方にかけるね。
私のステージは13人で完璧最高なんですよ。信じて待ってるんだ君を。
There we go. So we're just a couple of weeks away. We're just a couple of weeks away from season 4 of Iramaku. Dude, there's so much shit coming out in the spring that just I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, the last year has just been nothing but fantastic anime.
Banger after banger. Yeah, I can totally see. It makes me want to check out Mal again and see what's been updated. But yeah, there we go. All right, on to the next thing. We have a new class action lawsuit against CrunchyRoll because of alleged disclosure of user information to third-party analytics company Braze. A number of plaintiffs filed a consumer digital privacy class action complaint against CrunchyRoll on March 3rd. The complaint alleges that CrunchyRoll violated the Video Privacy Protection Act. Plaintiffs Francisco Cabanoy, minor JT filing the action through Guardian Oscar Toruno, Anthony Gonzalez, Matthew Newton, and Alicia Taylor are alleging that Crunchyroll knowingly disclosed users' personally identifiable information concerning their video viewing activity on the company's application to a third-party marketing and analytics company, Braze Inc. According to the complaint, Crunchyroll transmits users' email addresses, persistent device identifiers or device ID, and the titles of specific video content that they watch to Braze. The complaint notes that several titles hosted on Crunchyroll include sensitive content such as mature, violent, explicit, and sexually suggestive material. The complaint specifically names Tales of Wedding Rings as an example that features sexually suggestive material. The complaint is demanding statutory damages of $2,500 per violation, plus attorney fees and costs as redress on behalf of themselves and others who were similarly injured by Crunchyroll's unlawful conduct. Braze Inc. was formerly known as AppBoy Inc. It is a marketing automation and customer engagement platform. The company provides its clients with software development kit that can be embedded into mobile applications such as that of Crunchyroll. The complaint alleges that Crunchyroll embedded the Blaze SDK into its app on an unknown date, but at least since 2022. Data collecting through the Braze SDK enables its clients to target customers with personalized marketing communication through push notifications, in-app messages, and email campaigns. The Braze SDK transmits personal viewing information to Braze in a manner that identifies the specific user and the specific video content they are watching. The complaint includes examples of transmissions pictured below. And I don't know enough to know anything about what this is, so Fenris, if you want to take a look at this picture and let me know. All I know is that they highlighted certain portions in red that I guess are pertinent.
It is not good.
Okay, good to know. According to the complaint, Crunchyroll configured the Braze SDK specifically to enable Braze to connect users' identities to their viewing behavior. It alleges that Crunchyroll is aware that Braze receives and connects both identifying information, email addresses and device ID, and personal viewing information such as video titles and device ID because Crunchyroll uses Braze's services to send targeted push notifications and marketing messages to specific users based on their specific viewing history. According to the VPPA, a company must acquire informed written consent to disclose such information to a third-party company. Guys, this is not the same lawsuit as the one that we talked about back in 2022. This is a brand new lawsuit. And I just want to point out, guys, I just assume that wherever I go on the internet, all my information is being sent to third parties at this point in time. Yeah,
yes, but if you do that, you don't necessarily qualify for such class actions when they happen.
Again, true, but I assume in my head that that's what everybody is doing. Now, just because I assume that's what they do does not mean that I am not horribly upset or offended if this happened to me. This company has no right to my email address or my personal identification, my device ID, and they absolutely have no business into what the fuck I'm watching on CrunchyRoll. This just makes me not want to use CrunchyRoll anymore and just switch over to High Dive. Like, it feels like CrunchyRoll is just taking L after L after L lately, and get your shit together. Here's what you need to focus on, motherfuckers. You have your own goddamn store. Use it. And just focus on giving us high quality anime translations, subtitles, and dubs. That's all we need. Focus on what you need to focus on. You don't need to add all these third-party nonsense bullshit. We're paying you enough. Do your goddamn job. Those are my thoughts. Anybody else want to add on to it? You're more than welcome to.
I mean, they're making money on us hand over fist by both constantly increasing subscription fees and now
ads.
What I can only assume, and this is just my personal opinion, that they're selling this data. Not just to this Braze thing, but to other corporations as well.
Yeah, this is just fucking, like, what the fuck, guys? Like, this just makes more people want to go over to piracy. I'm just saying.
And unfortunately, CrunchyRoll is steadily becoming a pseudo monopoly, so we really don't have
a lot of choices.
Very many valid and legal alternatives.
Speaking of piracy stuff, I forgot. Okay, so I forgot that there was a Substack that I meant to add to the show, but I'll talk about it later. But yeah, there's this class action lawsuit. A big piracy site got shut down recently. So, alrighty. How much do you know about Samurai Champloo?
I watched it once.
Okay.
It took me like 2 years to watch completely.
Tomorrow Studios, the guys behind the live-action One Piece and Cowboy Bebop, so bit of good and bit of sad, are set to develop a live-action Samurai Champloo adaptation. Okay.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't either. Samurai Champloo, like I will hold on to a cautious neutral. That's where I'm at. Cautiously neutral. I don't know. I don't think I should be pessimistic and optimistic. So I'm cautiously neutral. My whole thing would be like, as much as I was already on edge with Cowboy Bebop, guys, do not fuck this up. This is the show that gave us lo-fi hip hop. Like the entire lo-fi genre is because of Samurai Champloo. Do not fuck this up. And that's just on the music side of things. If I'm talking about the other stuff, like just all the other awesome contributions that came around from Samurai Champloo, Jesus. So, entertainment news website Variety reported on Tuesday that Tomorrow Studios, the live-action adaptations of One Piece and Cowboy Bebop, a partnership between Marty Adelson of Prison Break and Teen Wolf, and ITV Studios, is working on a live-action adaptation of Shinichiro Watanabe and Manglobe's Samurai Champloo television anime. Series creator Watanabe, director of Cowboy Bebop and Lazarus, is attached to the project. Okay, that is already giving me a big sigh of relief, because Watanabe was not involved with the Cowboy Bebop series at all, and when he looked at it, he was like, what is this? This is not Cowboy Bebop. And I had to agree with him. So him actually being involved is just, that is a sigh of relief right there, and it feels like they're leaning more towards the One Piece side of things than the Cowboy Bebop side of things. So now, having read that piece of information, I have moved slightly into cautiously optimistic. Just I've tiptoed across the line. That's basically it. Like, I'm just barely above neutral, but like I have a sense of relief. God, wow. According to Variety, the project is in early development, and Tomorrow Studios has not yet taken it to networks. Although it has received a lot of incoming calls about Samurai Champloo, the adaptation will retain the core elements fans love while updating the material for a contemporary television audience. I'm not sure how it needs to be updated. Okay, now I'm back to neutral, because I don't updating the material for a contemporary television. No, that's scary language right there. live action One Piece and Cowboy Bebop.
That's language for we're gonna fuck it up.
Yeah. Executive producer Becky Clemens told Variety that Tomorrow Studios plans to bring in a major recording artist industry to help establish the show's sound, since the original had a hip-hop score as a defining feature. If you're changing the hip-hop score to something else, and it's not gonna have the spirit of the soundtrack, because the soundtrack was a huge part of Samurai Champloo. If you are changing it up at all, I'm already a no. Now I am pessimistic, because this is a defining feature of Cowboy Bebop. If you're updating it to modern music, go fuck yourselves. Sorry. Yeah, that's what I meant. But yeah, no. Although Tomorrow Studios' live-action adaptation of Cowboy Bebop was canceled, well, gee, I wonder why. Clements acknowledged to Variety that Watanabe was less involved creatively on that series. The story background on Samurai Champloo is here if you want to read it for yourselves, but the changing up the music to a different genre, like if you were changing the music to a different genre, you've already ruined the show for me. Because once again, this is the one that gave us the lo-fi hip-hop genre. It's what started it. So I don't have any, I already do not have a good feeling about this. Now, if you're looking for somebody that can, like, if you're looking for an artist that could do kind of a lo-fi hip-hop feel and keep it in there, then I'm back to, like, cautiously optimistic. But yeah, if you change the genre of music on this, no, bad. That's not good. If not, you know what? The one good thing about a bad live action adaptation of an anime, it sends a lot of people to watch the actual anime when the fans of the original are like, no, this is way, way better. Don't let this live action horse shit turn you off from watching a good series. And then new people come in and watch the anime and they're like, oh my God, this is so amazing. What the hell were they doing? Or what were they thinking? We're like, yeah, exactly. But also at the same time, the same can happen with a good series. A lot of people watched, to go back to it, the live action One Piece season 1 and started watching the anime, and they're like, and then they get into the anime and they go really far into the anime and they love it. And then they come back and they rewatch the live action and they start catching things that they didn't notice before. And it's so good. Yeah. All right. On to the last thing that I have a link for. I'm sorry, I'm reading all of these myself. But
that's okay.
Ace of Diamond Act 2 second season anime reveals second promo video, theme songs, and a new cast member. The official website for Ace of the Diamond Act 2 Season 2, the sequel to the 2019-2020 anime of Yuji Terajima's Ace of the Diamond Act 2 manga, revealed the second promotional video, theme songs, and new cast member on Tuesday. The trailer previews the opening theme song Let's Go Crazy by Baby Kanta. Super Dragon performed the ending theme song Number, and boy band that sounds like Kiss My Foot 2. KIS My FT 2. Member and voice actor Toshiya Miyata plays Koji Chimaru. And now we're gonna watch a trailer. I like the baseball. It's good. So July 5th.
いよいよ始まった夏の大会。エースナンバーを背負って臨む初めての大会。そしてみゆき先輩たち3年生がいるこのチームで戦う最後の大会でもある。今まで積み重ねてきた全てを出し尽くし、目指すは全国制覇。すみません、でも譲れないんす。この夏だけは。 Let's go crazy あの日の自分には。
できるだけ明日は沢村一人に投げ抜いてもらいたい。
背負わされてるわけじゃない。 自分で背負ってんだ。それがお前の求めるエースだもんな。曲がりきらないスライダー、ジャイロ界で受け取れ。
てめえのスイングしてこいよ。
言っても取られたくない。相手をねじ伏せる強いボールを俺の役目だ。ダイヤのエースアクト2セカンドシーズン目指せ。
There we go. All right. Yeah, I think the song sounds good. I am, if you want to read the manga, it's up on K Manga right now. Huge fan of it. Highly recommend you checking it out if you have an interest. I will also say for those who are like, oh, I don't really like sports, totally understand. No pressure. I will say, though, that there is a difference between watching sports and watching sports anime, because sports anime tends to go into a lot more detail about the sport and makes the sport way more interesting a lot of times than just watching the sport. But I will say that, like, watching Ace of the Diamond gave me much more appreciation for, like, Major League Baseball, because as seriously as they take baseball here in this show is kind of like the level of seriousness they take for the majors and the minors. And so knowing a lot more of like what goes on with play calling and you know, pitch count and all those things, knowing all of that gives me a lot more appreciation for what goes on in those games. Same thing for like volleyball with Haikyuu. Like, I didn't really pay attention to volleyball or anything. Like, my biggest thing about volleyball was watching girls beach volleyball because hot girls playing on the beach. That was basically it. And then now that I have a better understanding of volleyball, I actually like have a deeper appreciation for volleyball matches, and like, because I understand.
But still,
like,
hot girls playing volleyball in sand.
Also true, but like I have more of an understanding of the game, and now I appreciate the game more, and I can watch more than just hot girls playing volleyball in the sand. But still, hot girls playing volleyball in the sand. Just saying. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's my pitch for like sports anime. Like, you don't have to like sports to enjoy the sports anime, because there's a lot more to it. But yeah, I do want to cover this one last thing, and I don't have it linked. So apologies in advance. I will go to the Substack right now, and I will link it in tiny URL. So you're going to watch me do this in real time. Yay. But yeah, highly recommend this Substack. There are Substacks for anime news that I try to follow as well, and highly recommend that you check them out too. But yes, the Anime by Numbers is the Substack I am following, and yeah. So let me quickly update the links, and I will get to you in just a moment. Okay, there we go. Anime Substack. That's just what I'm going to call it, and then I paste the URL, and we are done. All right, it has been updated. Link is now in the doobly-doo. Thank you guys so much. All right. So, Hi Anime, the biggest bootleg anime streaming platform on the English-speaking internet, is reportedly dead. Piracy has a long and unique history in the world of anime, and so I thought I'd take this opportunity to give some context to the site and respond to some of the most common reactions I've seen on the topic of Hi Anime and anime piracy in general. Hi Anime was the biggest bootleg anime platform in the States, accounting for 15% of all anime piracy, with 4 million U.S. monthly users per white box analysis. In the last year, U.S. users represented 30% of Hi Anime's traffic, so the worldwide total is closer to 14 million. I've seen many online commentators make comparisons using similar web data that Hi Anime has more web traffic than CrunchyRoll. That's been the case at some points, and it's no lie that Hi Anime website has similar U.S. traffic to Hulu and Disney Plus as well, but that's a fairly misleading way to understand the situation. Web traffic represents less than 20% of viewership for Hulu and Disney Plus. Most people watch on apps. So while Hi Anime's size is anything but small, this is an unfair comparison. Yes, I did turn into a transponder snail. Do. Let's not forget that there are hundreds of English language anime dedicated bootleg streaming sites with meaningful traffic. Anime is disproportionately pirated compared to other forms of entertainment. To this point, using data from Similar Web, from Similar Web, in February 2026, High Anime received more U.S. visitors than any other non-pornographic pirate site, anime or otherwise. But thanks to the growth of viewership on platforms like CrunchyRoll and Netflix, the share of legal anime viewing is trending in a positive direction. Meanwhile, non-anime piracy is on the rise due to increased income inequality and more streaming services with higher prices. But that's an analysis for another day. Top pirating sites by category in the United States. Anime streaming, high anime, streaming, torrenting, and anime torrenting. So, unlike the fan subs sites of yesteryear, High Anime and many other popular anime streaming sites was a for-profit outlet. The pirated film TV sites of the past 5 to 10 years exist to get ad revenue and not for media preservation. High Anime made the people running it a lot of money. Many fans say sites like High Anime are integral to accessing unlicensed and unavailable anime outside Japan, but unlicensed series represented less than 1% of U.S. viewership, per White Box. The most popular titles on High Anime were mostly the most broadly available series. This doesn't account for non-US/Canadian viewers using piracy to access popular series not available in their regions, but it does represent a shift in why and how people pirate anime. The hobby of anime used to include seeking it out, often through piracy, but now it is fueled by algorithmic discovery on streaming platforms and social media. So most of what is watched is what is promoted or what is already popular. That said, a slight majority of people who use High Anime use it in tandem with legitimate anime streaming. This means many people used it to fill gaps if they didn't have a certain streaming service or because they didn't know where to watch a certain series. Most of the subtitles, 90% or 90% plus, were not fan subs but rips of the official subtitles. Much like the big manga manhwa piracy sites, even the fan subs were ripped from the fan sub groups and monetized, which isn't really any better. There will always be plenty of other anime pirating sites, but whenever the top pirate site goes down, a decent chunk of its users switch to legal services. Since most anime revenue comes from overseas streaming these days, every legal view outside Japan counts even more towards your favorite series continuing. 7. There are a lot of reasons why people have to pirate media, and those who do are not morally bad people. However, using streaming sites just funnels ad revenue to third parties taking advantage of anime fans and does nothing to really help the industry. While it's a little harder than it used to be, if you have to pirate, torrenting is still the most ethical bet. Anime isn't just an ad, or 8. Anime isn't just an ad for the source material, so going to buy the light novel or manga to make up for pirating the anime isn't as helpful as you think. That being said, please go buy the manga and the light novels. It helps in other ways. The anime industry is 2 to 3 times the size of the manga industry. An anime adaptation boosting manga light novel sales is definitely one reason for a publisher's interest, but the publisher is just one member of an anime's production committee, which contains companies with various financial interests. The majority of committees aren't led by the publisher of the source material. Advertising the source material is not nearly as important as folks make it out to be, and it's certainly not the reason why an anime is made. 9. Not wanting to pay a middleman like CrunchyRoll for anime is more complicated than you think. The concept of a middleman in anime is slowly becoming obsolete as streaming services also produce a lot of anime by sitting on many production committees. This is also true of official manga apps, sites, publishers who are often owned or partially owned by the publisher themselves and not always a middleman company. 10. Buying official merchandise to make up for pirating an anime isn't as helpful as you think either. Most people who say this don't actually do it for every title they watch, and to be fair, that can be difficult because not every title gets widely distributed licensed merchandise. But this means it's a rich get richer situation where any title that's not someone's top favorite gets zero from them or $0 from them. Whereas watching on legal outlets at least provides something back to the producers of the anime, the committee. People who use bootleg platforms are also understandably more likely to buy bootlegged unofficial goods, which doesn't support the anime either. 11. Some people import the Japanese Blu-ray release to make up for pirating a title, but they are the outliers of all outliers. Japanese home video sales have fallen off a cliff during the exact period that the overseas anime audience fallen off a cliff during the exact period that the overseas anime audience rapidly just period right there, just rapidly. Okay. You can read more about this in the Animenomics report on the changing JP home video market. Note, I'm centering a lot of this in the US to make more like-to-like comparisons, and because internalizing this brings in a great deal of additional complexity and nuance. So they just ended the sentence with audience rapidly. Okay, that's a weird way to end that. But yeah, you guys can see that the home video market like started dropping off around 2008, and just 2013 it tried to come back up, and then it just kept slowly dipping. And then 2020 it was pretty low, and then 2021 it came back for a moment. But yeah, it's just been kind of steadily going down. So the highest it was at was 97 billion yen back in 2005. That was the heyday, dude. That was Fan Subbers Anonymous and all that. Date Bio fan subs and oh god, I forget the manga site it was at. Everybody was using it. But yeah. And then now here we are in 2025, 19 billion yen. And it's like, holy crap. That is a huge dip. But yeah. So curious to hear your thoughts on this, both from the audience and from you, Fenris. What are your thoughts on this?
It's a sad day, but at the same time, I kind of understand why.
Yeah, I mean, they did cover a lot of the reasons why people pirate, and they're like, hey, man, this thing doesn't help as much as... But also, when it comes to some of these companies just selling off your information without your permission or knowledge, I'm not gonna, like, that just leads into it. Yeah.
It's also partly the harder to find anime that are no longer streaming anywhere because of lack of licensing.
Yeah. But once again, I would say that torrenting would be safer than going to these third-party streaming sites.
Oh, I will fully agree, but it still sucks when, you're halfway through a fantastic anime that's really hard to come by, and then suddenly it's gone.
Totally get it. All right, well, there we are, guys. That's everything for this one. Yeah, I don't have anything else to add. Thank you guys so much for coming by and hanging out with us at Anime Church, the church where you can cosplay, and we will not judge you for it. That's right. We will judge you for more important things, like how much of an a-hole you are. That being said, I am Richie Roberts, your Minister of Science and Technology.
And I'm Fender Siren, your patron saint of snackos and alcohol.
And we'll see you guys next week with more content. Remember, tomorrow we'll be back with a brand new volume of Mushoku Tensei. We'll be picking up with volume 15. It's going to be a really good one. I hope you guys are looking forward to it. Until then, take care and bye for now. Bye-bye.